How's it going? And welcome back to our second Pokemon Unite video for the day. If you missed our gameplay highlight for the day, make sure you check it out. It is a Mr. Mime plus Crustle splitting the center in a 5-stack. It's a ton of fun. That being said, Pokemon Unite dropped a balance patch on us this morning, which isn't too much of a surprise. We just had the May Championship Finals this past weekend, and they seem to like to drop their balance changes after their big weekend tournaments. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into the changes and give some of my opinions on them. First up, Crustle. Small change here. X Scissor drops the cooldown from 9 seconds to 7 seconds. Strict upgrade here. I've actually been playing a lot of Crustle, like I just mentioned about the highlight video, but I've been playing Stealth Rocks as opposed to X Scissor, and I'm going to be curious to see if this changes my opinion on that. Definitely going to have to give some of that attack a try. Blastoise. This was one of the 4 characters that I said I really wanted to make sure we got nerfs on, and I really like all the changes that they made here. It is worth noting that overall, Blastoise isn't strictly worse. It did get 1 buff in here, so Hydro Pump got a second shaved off of its cooldown, which is fun. Hydro Pump is my preferred attack on Blastoise, but Rapid Spin gets a change similar to Greedent. They're utilizing this kind of not quite unstoppable, but hindrance resistant, they are calling it, which means anytime you would stun or slow a character in Rapid Spin now, it's going to get a movement speed reduction instead of whatever that hindrance is. I think this is a good change. I think getting your abilities basically canceled outright by Unstoppable is a huge feels bad, and getting some type of small effect is good. The Unite move really got kind of gutted here. This is a big decrease. So the ratio, how much this scales off of your special attack, is going from 218 down to 164. This is a big deal, especially because not only is it a lot of base damage removed on Blastoise, but a lot of Blastoise players, myself included, were playing special attack stacking items because of the scaling on the Unite move on this character. And there's a very real chance that this Unite move is going to be a more crowd control / suppression based attack as opposed to a powerful one for doing burst damage, and perhaps this means that you don't special attack stack anymore because the scaling just ain't what she used to be. Greninja gets a nerf here, which this change doesn't surprise me. This wasn't a change I had been asking for, but I think is pretty reasonable. They had buffed Greninja's Unite move in the last patch. This character is already very playable. Also, if you looked at all the really good Greninja players out there, Surf was decidedly the best attack in that attack upgrade slot. Everyone was taking it, and now perhaps with the damage strictly worse than it was before on Greninja's Surf, perhaps we'll see people consider Water Shuriken again, and we'll get some diversity in that attack slot. Lucario. We don't have exact details on here. I did confirm with folks in the math core that this is a typo. So extreme speed did get a damage decrease, and decreasing the ratio on Lucario's extreme speed is exactly what the doctor ordered, I think. I think a big part of Lucario's strength was the fact that it just scaled so hard with the attack weight stacking item, and I think these changes that we're seeing in this patch, especially like with Blastoise's Unite move and now Lucario losing a lot of ratio on extreme speed, shows that they understand that the problem with a lot of these characters is the fact that they scale with these stacking items. Power Up Punch is getting some damage nerfs according to the generic patch notes that we saw on the login screen. However, we don't have the exact calculation for this yet, but it'll be strictly worse than before. How much will remain to be seen. Hoopa. There were a number of different things they could have chose to do with Hoopa, and it looks like the one they're going with for this patch, they're simply pulling damage out of its Unite move. So the rest of Hoopa's incredibly good kit with those portals is still there. You're going to be a bit less scary in terms of becoming an attacker when you use that Unite move, but honestly, I don't really expect this change to impact Hoopa in terms of competitive play. Obviously, Hoopa will be able to carry fights a little bit less with less damage when it goes into its Unite move, but I kind of still expect 5 stacks to be Hoopa's world that we're all living in, and I'd be kind of surprised if these Unite changes change the fact that every competitive team essentially has a Hoopa in its 5 stack. Cinderace. Blaze Kick was made worse, which is good. Basically, no one was taking Blaze Kick. Pyro Ball Plus reduced the cooldown a good bit. Okay, that's pretty sweet. So we nerfed the attack that everybody was taking. We buffed the other attack, and Feint now dodges slightly further. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Pyro Ball plus Feint is a skill set that we're interested in taking. Most notably, I think Cinderace really excels when one of your two attacks is a really short cooldown to trigger Cinderace's passive. So Pyro Ball being buffed, if Pyro Ball is playable over Blaze Kick, that opens up your second attack slot to possibly play Feint instead of the Flame Charge. Azumarill gets some pretty significant changes here. So we get just strict HP increases at every level. Looks like 50-ish, so not a big deal. What is a bigger deal, however, is it looks like Azumarill is just getting lifesteal generically, which is something we've seen a lot of all-rounders have. So this will give this character a lot of increased survivability regardless of which moveset you're taking. And speaking of movesets, it looks like the two lesser used moves for Azumarill here are both getting boosted. So Aqua Tail is getting a strict damage increase. Play Rough is getting a strict damage increase, which is great. I really like Play Rough as a attack, so I'm interested to see if this change makes it so it feels like it actually hits instead of just tickling the person that you're diving on. Gardevoir, interesting change here. Now evolves at level 8 instead of 9. Notably, Gardevoir still does not get its Unite move until level 9, but as you can see here, you get a stat increase whenever you hit an evolution in Pokemon Unite, so pretty big difference, especially here in the special attack stat, over almost 100 additional special attack at level 8, which this will really let Gardevoir be a lot more impactful at that first Dreadnought engagement, even if it's not quite 9 for that Unite move. Confusion got a little bit of increased damage, which will allow Gardevoir to play top or bottom path better, contesting last hits. And Psyshock got a damage increase, so perhaps we'll have to give that a try and see how it compares to Future Sight, which has kind of objectively been the thing you take. Zarina got a small, strict buff here, all of its attack stats going up. Something that's really noteworthy about Zarina's kit is that Stomp has really good attack scaling. And we'll note here you got a 20-point attack increase almost at these last couple of levels. So 20 extra attack might not sound like a ton, but when you get that double stomp in, you get almost 600% attack in terms of scaling. So it's going to be an extra 120 damage with those big bursts, which is potentially very good. Slowbro seems to be like the big winner this patch, as they implied here, the writer of these changes. Scald got a damage increase across the board, and it increased the amount it reduces their attack by. So not quite as much CC as Surf provides, but allows you to make yourself and your teammates more durable and put up more damage with Scald. And notably here, the Unite was reduced in its cooldown length. So you'll be able to unite more frequently with this character. More specifically, you'll be able to unite closer to that 330, 345 second mark, where normally with these defenders with the longer cooldowns, you have to use your final unite if you want to have it back by zap by about 4 minutes. This will let you push that boundary a little bit with Slowbro. Venusaur got a strict upgrade in terms of the damage that it's dealing with Solar Beam. Notably, the ratio increased a little bit and the base damage went up. So this is a strict upgrade to this lesser used move on Venusaur. Will this make it good enough to take over Petal Dance plus Giga Drain? I don't know if that's the case, but definitely something worth trying because it is strictly better than it was before. Blissey, this was a character that I was expecting some nerfs to happen to, and I really like the change that they made. It is worth noting this technically isn't a strict nerf on Blissey, so while all of the damage decreased here on Egg Bomb, they also decreased the internal cooldown on both Soft Boiled and Egg Bomb. So this move will last hit less well, which is great. I think the big problem was this character being able to steal objectives and last hits. It shouldn't have been able to steal for more damage-based characters, but the trade-off is it'll get to Egg Bomb more frequently, which I think is a good change overall. Aegis Slash, they knock up duration. This was listed in the patch notes as a decrease overall. Looks like they haven't farmed exactly how much it's decreased by yet, but that doesn't surprise me. Aegis Slash was seeing a good bit of play. And it's also worth noting that I think Shadow Claw is still very good on Aegis Slash. They've basically been leaving that attack alone, so they seem to be happy with its power level. Dragonite. This is one of my favorites. We had an Outrage Dragonite highlight video drop yesterday. Just strict stat increases on its attack stat, which makes Razor Claw, that I like to play with the Outrage build, do that much more damage because it scales off of your attack stat. So strict upgrade here on one of my favorites I think was already pretty playable. Mr. Meim has a small debuff increase on its Unite move, which makes it strictly better than before. Sylveon fixed a bug affecting this move's use against wild Pokemon with Mystic Fire. Thank goodness. I said at multiple points the biggest buff they could do to Mystic Fire Sylveon would be to fix the AI targeting with your flames. So hopefully this does that, and this character is a lot less embarrassing now when it comes to contesting farm with whatever changes in. Gonna have to play some games with it for sure and see how it feels. I'm actually just made XP share strictly better, which is interesting. This is an item that probably doesn't see a lot of play inside of non-5-stack competitive, but it sees a lot of play inside of 5-stack. So one thing else that's notable about this is again, them adjusting held items, which it seems like something they've been very cautious to do. I hope we see overall like a bigger set of changes to items. There's a lot of held items that are basically unplayable with the current metrics that they have. So at any rate, I am happy with basically every change on this list. None of these changes jump out at me as, that doesn't make sense. I think my two big notes for the takeaway on this patch are, I don't think this changes anything about Hoopa inside of competitive play. And two, do they know Zeraora exists? It really feels like the forgotten Pokemon. Like they changed Gardevoir's level it evolves at from 9 to 8, and Zeraora is just like off sitting in a corner. So we're like, hey guys, I don't get my Unite move to level 10 still. Guys, are you listening? So hopefully Zera gets buffs at some point. We'll see you in Pokemon Unite real soon, and stop back again tomorrow for another highlight video, as always, here on YouTube.